TikTok reaching a deal to keep operating in the United States. That's according to a memo from the company's CEO. TikTok's U.S. algorithm is going to be retrained on American user data. Joining us right now to discuss this, Doug Clinton, founder and CEO of Intelligent Alpha. Good morning to you. We've been waiting for this moment for quite some time. I think the big questions around this is how has this fundamentally changed the dynamic? Is it actually more secure?
Andrew, it's been 5 years in the making. Almost hard to believe that we've finally gotten a deal here with TikTok to bring its algorithm to the U.S. I think it does change security. The concern has always been about where does the user data lie? And wherever the user data lies gives a lot of control to the domicile, the country that has that data. The issue has been that China has had the data, and whether you believe it or not, they've been able to, use that data to do things like track certain people in the U.S. There have been many reports about that. This deal will now bring all of that data to the U.S. on Oracle servers. And so I think that alleviates a lot of the concerns about national security. It's a great deal for national security. I think it's also a really good deal for Oracle, particularly because they need something to change the narrative for them right now because it's been so negative around the AI trade.
Do we think it's going to change the dynamic for customers in terms of the product, in terms of how this ultimately competes, for example, against Facebook or against YouTube or anybody else?
I don't think it changes anything there. I think that we will continue to experience TikTok in the same way. On the margin, what we might see is this, though. There have been some suggestions that TikTok in the U.S. shows different TikTok users that might see content in China. And so maybe on the margin, we see content that is a little bit less, controversial or maybe a little less political. That's been some of the issues I think we've seen in the 2020 and 2024 elections is how are we kind of seeing content from TikTok and what might China be doing to influence that content. So those things might change in the margin, but as it pertains to competing with the U.S. kind of existing social landscape, I don't think this will change anything.
Okay, but let's go back to this idea of, I think what you're suggesting is that the Chinese government or others are influencing the algorithm. You believe that these new U.S. partners are going to re-influence the algorithm in a different way?
I think they will treat the algorithm much like Facebook, Meta, Instagram sort of treat their algorithms. YouTube, a similar example where I think they're going to focus very much and probably almost solely on what does the user want to see, where are they going to stay most engaged, versus, again, reports would suggest that maybe some of the algorithm was influenced when TikTok US was under Chinese control in terms of showing a little bit more political content, a little bit more controversial content.
But do you believe that, Doug? That's a real question. Do you believe that they were actually, that the Chinese ultimately were finagling with the algorithm, or do you believe that there were just people, unfortunately, saying some crazy stuff, and that more people click on the crazy stuff, and therefore they feed you more crazy stuff?
Yeah, Andrew, for me, it's yes and yes, actually. I think both of those statements are true. I think there was some influence from the Chinese government. It's such a powerful tool when you have a social media application that influences 200 million people in the U.S. To not use that would almost be unbelievable given the political dynamics between our countries. So I do think there was some influence, but I also think what you said is also true. On all of these social platforms, there are extreme voices, and some of those voices get attention. Extremity has always gotten attention on social media. And so I think probably the balance between those two is that they unfortunately work together in negative ways, I would say, for the U.S.
Do you think that there's any chance, I mean, here we are, and we're speculating that, the Chinese government is organizing the algorithm. Do you think that there's any chance that once we get a hold of this, if you will, similarly to maybe the way Elon Musk got a hold of Twitter, that we're going to find out actually how the algorithm was tuned in specific ways afterwards?
We may get some sense of that. If I had to bet, though, my guess would be we might not get the full picture because some of that tuning, may exist in Chinese servers somewhere. And so you could think about it this way, there's the core algorithm that kind of decides what might this user be interested in seeing. And you might also have an additional process that was running after that algorithm had taken place to tweak that even a little bit more based on what the Chinese government perhaps wanted us to see. And so my guess is we probably won't get any insight into what the specific intent was, if there was any, in terms of changing what the algorithm was showing us. We'll probably just see what the core algorithm, as it were, was showing.